cryptids have been in folklore and general word of mouth for a number of years. They've been described by the public as creatures that have been claimed to exist, but have no further proof. However, if you're one of the lucky ones, you might be able to catch a glimpse of them, their beautiful, voluptuous bodies sheening in the moonlight. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This generation is very lonely, and if we can't go outside to get that regular human contact, then where else are we going to get our fill of romance? You know where this is going. Roll the title card. Dwarves are short, human-like entities that are known for smithing, mining, crafting. If I wanted to date somebody that was good at mining and crafting, I would date Minecraft Steve. Looks aren't everything. Height isn't the biggest deal, as I've mentioned before, but I don't know if I could handle somebody that was 2'5" and looked like my grandfather. I don't know about you, but I'm not one that's into gilfs. That being said, if they wanted to stack themselves in a trench coat and give me lots of money, I'm not saying that that's sugar daddy material, but you know, you gotta find diamonds where you can take it. I rate dwarves a 1.5 out of 10 because they've got the skills, but they don't got the game. The Kraken originates in Scandinavian folklore and is told to dwell off the coast of Norway and Greenland, terrorizing sailors with its huge tentacles and general squid-like stature. Now, this is probably based off of the giant squids that a bunch of sailors saw off of the coast of their countries going on voyages and stuff like that. But we're not talking about how creepy they are. We're not talking about how they terrorize sailors and kill people and all that stuff. We're talking about how dateable a Kraken would be. Personally, since I'm a human, I am sizably different, so it's got that height difference that everyone adores. On dates, they could take you out to the ocean. You could go in a boat and maybe hold hands, so that's a plus. You could go swimming, you could hang out at the beach. A few things that are an issue, though, is that Krakens probably don't speak or understand human mannerisms, so communication would be a bit of a struggle, but I'm sure you could make it work. In the bedroom, however, it would probably have to be public, considering you can't really breathe underwater, and, tentacle porn exists, so I'll let you use your imagination on that one. Overall, I give the Kraken a 4 out of 10 for communication issues, but also hentai fantasies. Speaking of underwater creatures, the Mermaid is a half fish, half human entity that dwells underwater and is commonly associated with bad luck to sailors. Mermaids often get confused with siren, and honestly are one and the same, but siren tend to be a bit more villain-esque and have a bit more fish-like features on them. For example, gills and fins, where mermaids don't really have them. For mermaids, it really depends on the personality, because if you have an aerial type, yeah, I would love to be on land type fish, then that's more something you can work with. However, if you get more of a siren type, one, they probably don't speak English, and two, probably would hate you and kill anyone on your boat. So, you really just have to take a gamble whenever you go searching for a mermaid GF, because you never really know what you're going to get. If you do end up getting a good relationship, it could definitely work out if you moved next to a body of water, like the ocean, because she could do the thing and live in her general area, wherever she does, and you could live on land, and you can meet in the middle, and exist. And humans are mammals, so we can definitely go inside water, maybe snorkel a little bit, deep sea dive with her maybe. Just something to bring the couples together. Dates, maybe. Maybe she could show you her favorite coral reef. Who knows? If she doesn't know that much English, you could probably teach her English, and she could teach you some of her native language if she has one. I don't know how they communicate underwater, but that could be something for sure. It's definitely a whole learning experience, and even though she doesn't have the bottom half that you could use, she's got face and hands, so it could work for sure. Ultimately, I give mermaids a 8 out of 10 because vaguely human-like, but there's still a little bit of an issue with the land and sea type thing. Bigfoot is a cryptid originating from the Pacific Northwest of the United States, described as a hairy, ape-like human creature thing. And a lot of people have sightings of Bigfoot, and I'm not really sure if they actually saw Bigfoot or just some bear walking in the woods. I think Bigfoot has the most potential so far out of all the cryptids we've seen because it's most likely to appeal to the masses. I mean that because even if it's like 6 foot, 7 foot tall, that's still the size of some humans. And it's compatible. There's compatibility. Some people look for hairy guys in their partners. You know, a lot of scruff, a lot of chest hair, that kind of thing. So Bigfoot's got hair everywhere. So can you really blame some people for being like, oh, damn, that's a big guy right there? Also, generally speaking, there are people with foot fetishes, and it's literally in his name. His name is Bigfoot. Can you imagine what size shoe he wears? He probably wears a size like 26. And I'm just saying, some people are into that. That's a whole man right there. Considering the dating aspect, Bigfoot would probably love to go on hikes, would probably just sit there and like hold your hand while you watch a sunset. Probably could interact with you a bit on the human side. Probably would only communicate in grunts and stuff of that nature, but there are some people that are literally mute, so you can probably communicate in however way you want. Even if you don't speak the same language, I'm sure he can read your body language perfectly fine. Bigfoot himself would probably just be a big softie that would give you great hugs and treat you right. Also, I don't see Bigfoot as a top. I see him, I could peg Bigfoot. I could definitely peg Bigfoot for sure. I rate Bigfoot a 9.5 out of 10 because he would treat me right. And I promise you that. Everyone's attracted to vampires. I'm sure you know what a vampire is, but just in case you have been living under a rock or use Facebook regularly, a vampire is an entity that feeds off the vital life force of the living, whether that be blood or just anything that generates the life force. In European folklore, vampires are undead creatures that go back to stir up a little bit of trouble with the people that caused mischief or death in the neighborhoods that they inhabited when they were alive. Obviously, vampires are one of the better choices to pick, just because you can't go wrong with a vampire, right? They're the most vaguely human-like creatures. Sure, you're gonna get a bit of cold feet while cuddling with them in the bed, but what's the deal with that? I have constantly cold feet, and if you want to cuddle with me ever, you're going to have to deal with that, because I refuse to wear socks to sleep. And they have a ton of experience. They are probably several thousand years old, and so they could tell you stories of their past lives. They can tell you what it was like to live through some of your favorite historical periods. And on top of that, they can bite you when you're about to die, and then you can suddenly turn young again and be a vampire and grow old with them, but only mentally. And you can look like a hot stud for the rest of your life. And that's why I give vampires a chunky 9 out of 10, because they've got that sweet, sweet juice in their fangs that can make me live forever, and I can have a sick vampire counterpart. Yahoo, baby! Everyone's seen Twilight, so might as well get this one out of the way. Werewolves are humans that can shapeshift into wolves, whether it be because of a curse or because of their own free will. Now, this one has a lot of perks. For example, if you were attracted to the brawny man as a kid, you would definitely like a werewolf, because a werewolf has that lumberjack type feel, and because they live in the forest their entire lives, they'd probably have a lot of experience with wood or creating things. They could probably build you a log cabin if you felt like it. Like, they have so much experience in nature. You could take hikes, and it'd be great, because he'd probably be ripped, because wolves run a lot for some reason. You'd probably lose them about once a month to the full moon, because the full moon is one interesting thing, but when all is said and done, I don't think I can be labeled a dog fucker at the end of the day. So werewolves get a solid 6 out of 10, just because I don't want to be arrested for that technicality. Now we're going to talk about the best cryptid. The only cryptid that matters, okay? He originates from Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and he is big, his wingspan is huge, and he has the most beautiful glowing red eyes that I've ever seen. This is Mothman. He has been in West Virginian folklore for several decades, and many people have described him as a man-like creature with a very large wingspan and eyes that glow red in the night. He has even been tied to the collapse of the Silver Bridge that killed 46 people. So, he's powerful, is what you're telling me. Mothman is obviously the best choice because A, he's got that big wingspan, so if you ever needed shade from the rain, if you ever needed a big hug, you could definitely get it. If you ever needed to see something in the night, his eyes glow red. It'd be like those lights on the back of bikes. Like you could shine it and it'd cause something, you know? Like you could take your phone flashlight and you get the picture. And he can fly, which means that one grab to your shirt and suddenly you are in the air. You could transport better than Uber Eats ever could. I'm surprised Mothman hasn't become an Uber Eats driver, especially with the whole bridge thing. If anyone decided to mess with you, I'm sure Mothman would take care of it, because as we know from Silver Bridge and the collapse, he is capable of breaking an entire bridge. Bridge has reinforcements. Bridges are made so that they can withstand lots of force, but Mothman just fucking dunked on that bitch. If anyone crossed your path, I'm sure Mothman would take care of it just instantly for you. He is the definition of tall, dark, and handsome. And if you wouldn't date Mothman, who are you? I think that's going to be at the end of this video. Tell me in the comments what cryptid you would date and your reasoning for such, because if it isn't Mothman, why? Tell me why. Like this video if you liked it. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more of my face or hear more of my voice. And as always, you're loved, wanted, and appreciated. Have a good one.